Hey everybody, this is Ken from Fort Hickory. A rainstorm came into Anaheim last night and I jumped in the hammock, threw up the rain fly and decided to sleep out. And I woke up this morning to the beautiful sound of rain on my tarp. I'm having a great time, but I thought this would be a great opportunity to show you guys a little bit of my hammock setup and some of the modifications that I make when it's raining. So here we go. So first let's start with the hammock. This is an hammock, an Eagle's Nest Outfitters hammock, although I do have it pretty heavily modified on the suspension system. I'll take you through that in a second. The rain fly is actually my fly from my Hennessy hammock. Got it staked down at two places using an adjustable loop knot. I really like this rain fly design, the asymmetrical design. It's a very efficient design that has coverage where you need it, but no extra material where you don't. Let me show you that suspension system now. So I hope you can see this. I've removed the carabiner at both ends of the hammock and replaced it with two descending rings. You can get descending rings in any shop that sells climbing gear. And I'm attaching that using webbing. That allows me, this makes this extremely versatile. It's very quickly adjustable, very quick to set up, and pretty light, and I like it. And up above that, tied to the tree, I've got one single ridge line of paracord going all the way to my other connection point, and as you can see, I utilize that a lot. This is sort of how I set up camp inside my hammock. The carabiner that I wear on my belt loop at all times, I take that off and clip it up here. To that I clip my clean canteen, so I always have quick access to that, and I will use that again later for something else. I usually slide that up to the head of the hammock because I don't really care if that gets wet, so it can be closer to the edge of the rain fly. That doesn't bother me so much. This is also where I keep my glasses up there in case I want to do some reading at night. My wool buff I had on me tonight, so I threw that up there. This is also where I hang the storage bag for my sleeping bag, which is a Lamina 20. Hammock campers will know you use a top quilt and an under quilt, but I don't. I just use this sleeping bag, and I use it as a blanket. I put it over me, wrap it under the sides of me, but I don't actually zip up the zipper. Below me, instead of an underquilt, I use a Thermarest. This is the ProLite 3 Small. And the bag, though I don't use it to store the hammock anymore, I do leave it on here because it's convenient. Everything from my pockets goes in here at the end of the night, as well as I've got some tissues in here, and some cordage and some pennies, and I'll show you what I use those for in a minute. Below the hammock, this is where, if I'm out camping, this is where my stove will be so that I can wake up in the morning and under the rain fly with one hand, warm up my breakfast. I had some tea this morning. This is also where I keep my boots and my hat. When I get to camp and when I get everything set up, I take off my boots, lay them on the ground underneath my hammock and my fly, and then the hat fits very nicely over it, so even if the wind's blowing sideways, it'll keep the rain from outside of the inside of my boots. Keep the inside of my boots dry. And underneath my head as a pillow, I use my LL Bean fleece that I've always got on me. I like using that as my pillow in case it gets colder than I expected. I've always got it and I can put it on as an extra layer. Side note, I didn't need to use it last night because last night I used a new piece of gear. This that I'm wearing here is the Ibex Indie hoodie. It's an all-wool hoodie. It is quickly becoming my favorite new piece of gear. I love it. I'll probably do a review on it at some point, but it kept me absolutely comfortable all night. Now, like I mentioned before, in addition to the stuff I keep in my pockets, I also keep in this pouch some cordage, and down at the bottom corner, some pennies. Now let me show you what I use those for. Okay, so for those of you who are not familiar with hammock camping, there's several ways you can sleep in a hammock, but the way I prefer to sleep in it is diagonally. If you picture a hammock with the correct amount of sag in it, you don't want to sleep straight on, you want to sleep diagonally. That allows you to lay almost flat, and that's how I prefer to sleep in a hammock. One of the problems of this Hennessy hammock rain fly design, if you're using it with a different hammock, is if the rain is coming in, if there's any wind blowing from your right side, you have a lot of open space here where that rain can just come in and just land right on your face. But since I'm sleeping diagonally, I end up with a lot of extra hammock material on my right side that I can use So I'm going to need both hands, but let me show you how I rigged this up. Okay, I had to get out of the hammock and actually set up the tripod for this one. I need both hands for this. Normally I do this while I'm still in the hammock, but so that is the space where the rain would be blowing in on your face, and this is the extra hammock fabric you would have on your right side if you're sleeping diagonally. So what I do is I take my cordage and my penny and I rig up a quick sort of shelter fix. Okay, so you've got your cordage and your penny. The first thing you're going to do is you're going to want to tie a bowline knot, well actually any knot you want. It's going to leave you a loop on one end. Rabbit goes out of the hole, around the tree, and back in the hole. So you end up with a loop on one end, and then you're going to take the standing end and pull that through. So you can make yourself a little cordage lasso. Now you're going to take your penny and push it through the back side of your hammock fabric from the outside in, and then you're going to lasso that penny, lasso that penny from the inside. See that? And then you're going to take this cord and run it up to your ridge line. And now that you got the cordage running up to your ridge line, all you have to do is pull on this end to determine how high and tight you want that. And once you get that set, you can come up here and tie an adjustable loop Okay, so now I'm all warm and cozy in my hammock, but say I have to get out of the hammock for some reason. I've got to go to the bathroom, or I'm base camping and I'm getting up for the day. I don't want any of my gear to get wet, especially my synthetic sleeping bag. So this is what I do to make sure my gear stays dry and off the ground even when I get out of my hammock. So my particular sleeping bag up at the head end has this little cord lock on it. And the cord lock is attached to the sleeping bag via this very thin piece of this little webbing loop. So I'm going to take that loop and I'm going to reach up above my head and grab my clean canteen and slide it down. And I'm going to take that loop in my sleeping bag and clip it to the carabiner. So now I've got the top end of my hammock suspended from the ridge line. And then I'm going to take my pillow, my fleece, and I'm also going to stow it up above the ridge line like that, so it's not in danger of falling out of the hammock onto the wet ground. And now I'm going to take my feet, pull them out of the foot box of the hammock, and take the bottom end of some mummy bag, and I'm going to take that and stuff it up above the ridge line. So I got everything stowed up above the ridge line. I'm going to come down here, take my hat, put it on my head, put my boots on my feet, and this way when I get out of the hammock, nothing is in danger of falling out. When I come to base camp, even if it's pouring down rain, I can get under my fly. I've got everything high and dry. All I gotta do is, sorry about the poor camera angle, all I gotta do is sit down, take off my boots, take off my boots, take off my hat, and now I'm just about ready to go to sleep already. Just like that. Pull everything down off the ridge line, and we're ready to go. So folks, that is how I hammock in the rain. It looks like the rain has finally stopped, so I guess I should probably get out of bed for the day. Anyway, I hope these videos are useful to you guys. If you have any questions or comments, throw them at me. This is Ken from Fort Hickory. Adios.